Eli Stowers will be an X factor in this offense.
You are Locked On Vandy, your daily podcast on the Vanderbilt Commodores, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Vandy podcast on the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Corey Burton. Thanks for making Locked On Vandy your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube as a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. Hope you guys had a great Father's Day weekend. I know I did. So happy Father's Day to all you fathers out there. But on today's episode, we're going to talk about the Vandyboys becoming active in the transfer portal, something that's very needed. Antoine Martin Jr. completed his official visit. Is he the next commit? I don't know. First, we're going to examine how Eli Stowers will be the X factor in this offense. Okay, so you got to look at the way this offense is constructed first. Okay, so the way this offense is constructed, it's going to mean that Eli Stowers or whoever's in the tight end, but Eli, I think, is a kind of a special X factor type player. He's going to command a lot of matchups with safeties, hybrid defenders, and I think his athleticism is going to allow him to own the middle of the field. So if you really look at kind of what Vandy wants to do offensively, if you want to look at what the Vandy State Aggie Doors, if you look at the thumbnail, if you look at what this offense wants to do, it's going to really benefit the tight end a great deal. These teams that are very run heavy and run heavy with RPO built in, you see a lot of these tight ends get a lot of work that they probably normally wouldn't get in a standard offense. And that's not to say these other receivers that are coming in or that are already on board are going to be bad and not going to get any talent or not have any talent or not going to get any targets or anything like that, because I think they'll get plenty. I think Quincy Skinner will get a lot of targets, so on and so forth down the board, down the rest of the list. They will all get their targets because I think Vandy A is going to be on the field probably for more plays offensively because they're going to get more first downs. And I think the running game is going to be effective. But, the biggest beneficiary to these type of schemes are the tight ends. And when you have an athletic tight end like Eli Stowers, you can really kind of stretch the middle of the field a little bit. You can threaten some things wide as well as they're called, transcontinental routes or crossing routes. You can do some damage there because you get a guy like that athleticism with that height and weight just kind of lost over the middle a little bit. He can separate, and there's going to be some big plays that are made because we have athletic tight ends. And Tyler Fortenberry is going to be very similar in that regard as far as athleticism. I think he builds really good depth there. But Eli Stowers is somebody that I think will really kind of open things up for this offense. And you'll see that kind of as things progress. You'll see him be able to stretch the field and do things like that. Be, the stick concept, which puts your number 3 receiver in a 5-yard sit route that drifts kind of in a window. I think he'll be able to, if that's a quick ball, I think he'll be able to catch that and really kind of make some good yardage there. I think seam routes for him are going to be really good. Crossing routes from the tight end spot. I think moving him all around the formation, motions, shifts, things like that, just to kind of get him on the move a little bit. I think all those things are going to be very positive for this offense. I think it's a dimension that that defensive coordinators have to prepare for, right? So, and that's going to benefit Diego Pavia. That's going to benefit the running backs. That's going to benefit the offensive line because the defenders are going to be probably a half step to a full step slower because of all the movement, because of where he's going, because of how he's attacking. You've got guys that are unsure of what they need to do. And when you have a good piece like that, you can do a lot of different things in the RPO game, which the whole point of RPOs are to slow down linebackers and safeties, right? Those are who RPOs pick on, and most notably your second level defenders, your linebackers, so your edge box guys, your inside guys. They play a step slower, and they essentially, in some cases, they almost block themselves. So it's very beneficial. It helps a lot of people to have pieces like that so that you can do a lot of different things in the RPO game. You don't just have to use your backs. You don't just have to use your receivers, and you don't have to get as creative in moving receivers around to get those matchups. You've got a guy that is taken seriously as a tight end, but will command a lot of those matchups from smaller athletic guys because of how fast he is, how quick he is, how nimble he is. So that's the benefit of that. You get smaller personnel on the field defensively, and your run game can attack that very well. So you can do things like the power jet read, where it's either the back flashing across or a jet motion guy flashing across. It allows you to do things like that because if you have Eli Stowers on the field, maybe they're nickel personnel, which, again, if you get a team that's really talented with their front six, then you're just in trouble anyway. But if you can control with that nickel personnel, you have a chance. You have a chance at some big plays because you're going to get a guy that's mismatched, or you're going to get a guy that's mismatched in the run game that has run responsibilities in that nickel slot, and they're not able to handle those run responsibilities because they're not really a run support type of defender, but you have to put somebody more athletic to cover that tight end. People used to do that against Brock Bowers. People had to do that against Kyle Pitts. People have to do that against all Michael Mayer. They have to do that against all these athletic tight ends from all across the country that have gone high in the NFL draft. The teams have had to adjust. I'm not saying Eli Stowers is Brock Bowers. Don't get me, let's not get that twisted because Brock Bowers is an alien. Okay. But it still commands the same type of response from the defense. You get a taller, athletic guy in that spot, and defenses have to act accordingly. And when they have to act accordingly, it's a give and take. Like, you have to kind of give up something. Like, yeah, Eli Stowers is probably not going to be a devastating run blocker either. So you kind of give up that element when you bring him in the game. But if you want to go like 12 personnel and still have that inline tight end and still have somebody out there able to play wide receiver or get some condensed sets, you can do that. I mean, there's some possibilities there. He's not going to be an inline, 6 offensive lineman type tight end like some of these power run teams need. They've got a guy that transferred from Cornell that's going to be that. But Eli Stowers, I think, the X factor of this offense, because I think also the way it benefits is you attract a lot of attention to the middle of the field, either extra bodies coming into the box for the run. Maybe it takes a defender into the middle of the field and opens some things up outside. Maybe the safeties stay on their hashes because they're nervous that Stowers is going to run the middle of the field and they have to defend that. So it leaves those corners on an island a little bit. And if they're going to play any sort of half field coverage with those safeties, if you get a too high safety look, you have, like, there's things that are going to open up because of that. Like, these outside receivers are now going to be able to work one-on-one with a corner. And I like those odds. I like offensive guys matched up in solo coverage because more times than not, they win those battles. It's all up to the quarterback to get it to them and have time to get it to them. And we hope that can happen. But if there's attention that is to be commanded on the inside, outside guys open up. Case in point, Georgia, the last 3 years with Brock Bowers, he's commanded attention into the middle of the field. Outside guys are open. Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint got drafted because of that, right? And again, I'm just using it as an example because it's the same style of play, right? Kyle Pitts the same way at Florida. Like, there's guys that benefited from him being able to command attention in the middle of the field, both run game, RPO wise, and just coverage as he stretched the field vertically, that you had no choice. And like, you kind of have to like, okay, we're going to have to like give up something to stop this guy, because this guy's a freak, right? And the Falcons need to unlock him, by the way, just so you know. But, it's just that style of play. Like, I think Eli Stowers comes in with those abilities, right? And he's athletic, he can move, he's smart, he knows how to run his routes to get the optimal separation. I mean, he can make some big plays if they're presented to him. So, and I think that with this style of offense, he knows the offense too. Like, that's what helps too. He knows, him and Pavia, they know the offense. Like, they have a connection there. They can do some things next level, within this offense as teammates. And again, everybody will benefit. The offensive line will love it, because these boxes are going to be a little bit thinner and a little bit less sure of like what's going on. Like last year, defenders were just shooting gaps, and there was nothing these Vandy offensive linemen could do, because there was no rhyme or reason to what they were doing. They would get in a formation and they ran exactly what you thought they were going to run. So teams could almost just watch film and predict, okay, well, this guy looks like he has a sheet. So like on 2nd and 9, he's going to do these things. On, 3rd and 2, he's going to do these things. They could situationally call their blitzes and most of the time be successful, because very predictable, very whatever. Not this year. This year, you're going to have more unsure defenses. You're going to have smaller guys out there. You're going to have thinner boxes. So that's going to benefit the offensive lineman. That's going to benefit the run game. You're going to have some horizontal stretch a little bit too. I think with these receivers being able to do different things, even though they're not superstars, I think they're good enough to be able to do what they're asked to do, which is stretch the field, find open zones, just kind of move the chains in chunks. So this offense is going to be, they're going to have an identity. I think Eli Stowers is an X factor within this offense, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. And you start to build some electrifying receivers around him, then you got to command attention back outside. And one of those electric receivers just might be Antoine Martin Jr. Is he the next commit? He had his official visit this weekend, so that's very possible. We'll talk about it. We'll talk more about him next. All right. This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help you find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. So therefore, LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process even easier. They even just launched a feature that gives you help to write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. That's why 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. So this is what you need to do if you're not already there. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN? Are you sick of all the shouting? I know I would be. Well, that's why you need to make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV Channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. So, Antoine Martin Jr., this is an interesting one, right? I really like this. Recruit here, this target. He's from Iowa Colony in Texas, Iowa Colony High School from Iowa Colony, Texas. Don't ask me where that is because I have no clue where that is. Maybe somebody in the chat can, maybe somebody in the comments can say where Iowa Colony, Texas is. But he's one of the key targets, man. And I think with this new acquired offense, I mean, I think the receiving room is good. It has some depth. It needs to keep building that depth, right? You already have Cameron Dixon on board. You need more guys at the wide receiver spot, and I love this, right? So a couple of things that stood out from Antoine Martin Jr.'s visit, and this is from Sean Williams at Vandysports.com, the recruiting editor. The other story was inspired by Robbie Weinstein from Vandy 247 that featured Eli Stowers as that. So that was a big shout out there. So what stood out about Antoine Martin? Okay, 6'1", 170. Standard size. He was blown away. He didn't know what to expect. He was blown away. He loves Coach Bailey. Coach Bailey seems to be building a really good relationship with these guys. I think he's a really good recruiter. I think Clark Lee has done a good job of hiring guys on his staff. Martin caught 27 passes for 529 yards and 9 touchdowns. He has got the skills to take the ball to the house at any point. He's a dynamic receiver. He's electric, right? He's somebody that just seems to kind of understand what he can do, right? And he's somebody that I think that could benefit from a place like Vanderbilt, because I don't know, and this is not a knock on him. I just don't know that he's big, major college, major program type material. And that's okay, right? That's perfectly okay. And so when you look at what he brings to the table, I mean, just look at the way he understands leverage and understands space to create those throwing lanes for his quarterback, right? He really eats up that pad, and he knows how to angle his body to be able to make some of these catches. And he's a special type dude. I mean, he's great on double moves. He's fast. He can really go. And in order to play in the SEC, he's going to have to find that next gear, which I think he can do, given some time in the strength and conditioning program here. But he's somebody that just very smooth too, like very smooth runner, very, just again, a good route runner, understands the game. And if he's somebody that, I believe that everybody's coachable until they're not, right? So, you could say anybody's coachable. I believe that. But he's going to be somebody that within this league, he will have to find, like any player on this Vandy team, he's got to kind of find his niche. He's got to find his role and what he does well. And again, I think it's somebody that in an RPO scheme could take short slants to the house. Also, if he wants to play early, being on the kickoff and punt return teams is something that he can look at doing as well. So, I mean, he's got a unique skill set. He does a great job of catching the ball at its highest point, whether he's running a slant route or a go route. He's really good at understanding how he needs to set up his defenders. Really, the thing that stands out to me. So, I'm predicting this as, if he's not the next commit, he will be committed at some point. I don't know if he's going to take other visits before he commits. I don't know what he's planning on doing, but he's somebody that I could see committing pretty quickly. So just what Vanderbilt needs in the offense is more electricity like that, is more guys that can really kind of stretch the field and put pressure on defenses. And in the SEC, the name of the game in the SEC, because these defenders are so good, most of them, is, can you cause the defense to stretch vertically and or horizontally, and for bonus points, or will suffice. Can't say that word. But he's somebody that can help stretch it vertically. He's also somebody that can help create some gaps in the middle of the field by being good at slant routes and being good at catching. He's somebody that's good enough and fast enough to be able to still be a viable target in the second window in a slant, which is, I think it's amazing. Like, if you can do that, you can be very dangerous. And he's going to open some things up. By doing that, he's going to open some things up in the run game as well. Just like I talked about with Stowers at the tight end spot, like X factors on the outside can also do the same for the interior guys. Like, really good receivers can also open things up because you stretch things horizontally. I think he's going to benefit it by stretching things vertically, creating seams, and causing these linebackers to be put in a great deal of conflict because, like, okay, we've got to respect the space, the vertical space, so that our safeties aren't just overwhelmed. But also, we have a team that's running right at us that we have to, so these big gaps get created in the middle of the field, kind of in that box and box extended, that I think allow you a lot of opportunity in the run game too. So if you can play really well and take advantage of what the defense presents you, you're going to be in really, really good shape there. So this is why these wide receiver commits, these big, long, these tall, these long, these fast, explosive guys are important, because these are the guys that create the space that allow this offense to go. And are they going to get 35 targets a game? No, they'll probably, his standard stat line will probably be 6 or 7 catches, anywhere from 65 to 110 yards and possibly 1 or 2 touchdowns most of the time. And he'll probably get targeted 3 or 4 more times outside of those catches, where, and your run, your run game is going to be stronger, and it's going to give you opportunities for quality targets, not just, hey, we got to feed this guy because, we signed him and he's fast. Like, that's what I felt like the offense was last year. They were just like, I don't know, we just got this guy and this guy and this guy. We just got to find ways to get him the ball, and we don't really have any rhyme or reason. There's rhyme or reason to everything, and there's things that open up, and it's complementary football. So it's going to be good. But, everybody's taking part in the portal too. So the Vandyboys are cooking. Baseball is not quite over yet, so I'll still sneak in a few of these transfer portal stories. And we're going to talk about this one next, because the Vandyboys are seeming to learn something from this past season. They're already active in the transfer portal. We'll talk about that next. Hey, our good friends at FanDuel want you to know that summertime means baseball, the NBA Finals, and more. And you can bet it all on FanDuel. Well, you better hurry up on the NBA Finals. It's about over. Same with the NHL. Edmonton extended it by winning Game 4, but I just don't think that's going to last too much longer. So you better act fast, because right now new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's insane. That's $200. That's $200, man. You could use to bet everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the park. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. All right. So thank you. Welcome back. Thank you for making Locked On Vandy your first listen each and every day. Thank you to the everydayers for making all this possible. Make sure you follow us at Locked On Vandy on X and IG, on all social media platforms. Make sure you follow the show. Make sure you follow me as well if you would like. Thank you to the everydayers for making this all possible. Again, I can't thank you guys enough. Make sure you make Locked On SEC your next listen after this. And Chris Gordy would greatly appreciate that as well. So, Vandyboys, they're active in the portal. Tim Corbin looked at the season. He, rightfully so, wasn't very happy. Decided to make a change to the hitting coach and changed the recruiting approach as well. And, it seems that change was welcomed. And that's kind of been a theme for Vanderbilt athletics this season. You have an abysmal 2023 season, and you overhaul a bunch of things, right? Football did it. Basketball was next. They did it. They completely overhauled everything. And now baseball has seemed to turn a few things upside down as well. This is after they already added Cody Bowker. He was the first transfer from Georgetown. He had a 3.0 ERA, 5-1 record, 59 Ks to 20 walks in 2024. He has a low to mid 90s fastball. He has a slider and a changeup, so he's a 3-pitch guy. He was a freshman, and he's going to be somebody that can come in and compete for for a weekend role, which it's going to be kind of a loaded pitching staff. So this is a great addition. Tommy O'Rourke, that's a mouthful. He was coming in from Stanford. He's more of a bullpen guy, somebody that can just come in and be able to provide relief innings, which is vastly important in a lot of these, especially these postseason games. You need guys when you have games, back to back. You need quality bullpen guys, and he is one of those quality bullpen guys. And the 4.41 ERA doesn't scare me one bit, because we all know the bullpen is just volatile. It's the best way I can describe it. The bullpen anywhere at any program is volatile. Sometimes the situation dictates it. Sometimes, these guys coming in different elements and different situations and different confidence levels, and the vibe of your team, the vibe of the stadium, just excuse me, can affect a lot of that. And with relievers, they're coming into an established situation where starters are able to establish those situations. It's already set when the relievers come in. So they're coming in, it could be a complete crap game, and then they get lit up because just the vibe is weird, and it just is. And that's how relievers are. That's how relief pitching is in college. And there's not a whole lot you can do about it. And there's for the most part, if you throw good innings and things like that, you're in good shape. So the two newest ones, Joseph Desirwa, gonna have to practice that one. He comes in for Michigan State. He was all Big Ten as a sophomore. He posted a 4.07 ERA, 92 strikeouts to 27 walks. He's a 6'7" lefty, so an imposing guy up there on the mound. He also projects to be a weekend starter, somebody that can really just kind of overpower you a little bit. Just again, an intimidating guy that I think just physically looking at him as a batter already kind of gives you a little bit of an edge. Now, he's got 3 pitches, and he's really good at locating those guys, or locating those pitchers, I should say. And it's just something that, when you come in, you need guys that are crafty. You need guys that are going to hit spots, and you need guys that are going to change things up and move the ball around. And he's somebody that can do that. So he's somebody that will immediately elevate this pitching staff. So very excited to get him. And then, of course, anytime you bring a coach over from a program, you're going to get at least 1 to 2 guys that transfer in to follow him. And David Mendez is one of them. He's a rising sophomore. He's coming from Dayton. He posted a 342 average. He hit 9 doubles as well as 6 home runs, which leads me to believe that he didn't play a ton. But I don't think he's going to solve all the power issues by himself. But I mean, you never know with the new hitting philosophies, and he's already kind of in the system, and he just kind of fits in. And he's somebody that will, he was A-10 Rookie of the Year. He's going to come in and he's going to get in where he fits in. And if he's somebody that can get the ball in play and get the ball on base, they'll build some power around him. That's no problem, and that can happen. So I think he's a really good welcome addition as well. So Vandyboys, man, they're crushing it in recruiting, in transfer portal stuff. I mean, there's already been a change in culture there. I think that was kind of set by the other two programs for them. And I think they saw, hey, they're participating now. We're able to do some things. We're able to kind of embrace those kind of changes. So they're doing it. But that's going to do it for us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of us. We hope you have a great week. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. As always, behave yourself. Okay? Stay safe. It's going to be hot out there. Anchor down.